So welcome to our next session. We are starting with multiple choice questions on strength of materials, specifically unit 1, which is simple stresses and strains. Okay, so let us start with these questions, and also a little bit explanation on each multiple choice question. This is our first question, which is in the form of a numerical statement. Is something like this: for a given material, Young's modulus is 200 giganewton per meter square and modulus of rigidity is 80 giganewton per meter square. The value of Poisson's ratio is. So there are three terms in this. One is Young's modulus, which is capital A, then modulus of rigidity, which is capital G, and Poisson's ratio mu. So we must know what is the relationship between these three terms. Okay. So let us see what are the options and what is the answer. So first option is 0.15, then 0.20, 0.25, and last is 0.3. So its answer is C, 0.25, and this is the equation. K, capital K, is equal to 2g times 1 plus mu divided by 3 times 1 minus 2 nu. So uh, you just simply substitute the values in this equation and you will get Poisson's ratio mu. Okay, mu is the unknown here. K is, what is K? Hello? K you will have to find. Okay, so K and capital E, this relationship you need to know. Okay, so for time being you just see that you have to use this equation, substitute the values, and get the answer. Answer will be option C, 0.25. Next, engineering stress strain curve and true stress strain curve are equal up to dash. Let us see what are the option: proportional limit, elastic limit, yield limit, and necking. So you need to study thoroughly the stress strain curve. Its answer is C, yield limit. Now if you see this diagram, there are two curves. One is in blue line, another is in red line. Blue line indicates engineering stress strain curve. Red line indicates true stress strain curve. What is the difference between the two? If you see, there is yield limit where it is here in this region. After this, there is ultimate load and fracture load. Okay, so what exactly is the difference between these two, and why is there the difference? So when we solve problems related to engineering, any application of mechanics, we use the stress strain curve shown by blue line. So after yielding, what happens is the cross sectional area of the bar, it reduces, and we know we calculate stress as load per unit area. Now in this equation, area is in the denominator. If the cross sectional area of the member is reducing after yielding, what will happen to stress? It is going to increase. Okay, and that is why in true stress strain curve we can see the stress values higher than those in the engineering stress strain curve. Now what happens in engineering stress strain curve? We make an assumption. What assumption? That after yielding, the cross sectional area remains the same, it does not get reduced. Okay, after yielding, whatever is the cross sectional area, it will remain same up to failure. And by using this assumption, we do following calculations, that is finding out stresses, strains, and then bending moment, shear force, and so on. So based on this assumption, we are using engineering stress strain curve. So these two curves will be same up to yield limit, when there is upper yield limit and lower yield limit. Okay. So this is why, or what is the difference between the two stress strain curves. So this is important question. Next, multiple choice question. Stress strain curve is nearly horizontal in dash region. So again, we need to see what is the stress strain curve. Elastic limit is our first option. Then yield limit is second option. Then linear region, third option, and necking, the fourth option. So our correct answer is yield limit. This is the stress strain curve in the yield region. If you see here, we have written or shown here the yield strength, and here approximately horizontal we can see the stress strain curve. This is actually the enlarged portion of the stress strain curve. Okay. And here the upper yield and lower yield takes place, and after this, up to ultimate strength, we can see there is strain hardening, and after strain hardening there is necking. Okay, this region. So up to yield limit, stress strain curve is nearly horizontal. Next question, the maximum value of Poisson's ratio is. So we need to understand what are the different materials used in construction, and whose properties we take in the or check in the laboratory, and accordingly we need to answer this. So first option is 1, second option is 0.5, third option is 0.75, and fourth is 0.25. So here correct answer is option B, 0.5. So these are the different materials that are used usually in construction. And if you see, rubber is most elastic material, and as per the experiments conducted, rubber is having maximum Poisson's ratio. Okay. And for steel, it is in the region of 0.2, 0.3, something like that. Okay, for mild steel. The expression for change in length of uniform cross-section wire subjected to axial load is PL upon AE, second sigma L upon AE, epsilon into L, all of the above. So correct answer is all of the above, because the question asked is about change in length upon original length. Okay. So PL upon AE is stress, then sigma L upon E is again stress into length upon E. Then third option is epsilon into L. So all answers are correct. Next is about temperature stresses. A steel strip is welded to a copper strip of same dimensions along the length. The coefficient of thermal expansion for copper is greater than that of for steel. If temperature is increased, what will happen? Options are given. Copper will induce compressive stress. Steel will have compressive stress. Both will have compressive stress, and none of the above. So here the correct option is A, copper will have compressive stress. It is everything related to Young's modulus, because alpha will be coefficient of thermal expansion. sorry, alpha will be coefficient of thermal expansion, T will be temperature change. These two are not going to vary, these will be constants. So temperature stress will have third parameter, which is Young's modulus, alpha T into E. So in comparison to mild steel, copper will have different stress value or Young's modulus. Hence, copper has to induce compressive stresses. Okay. Next is a straightforward question on thermal stresses. We have to find out thermal stresses developed in the material. Material is steel rod. Alpha value is 12 into 10 raised to minus 6 per degree centigrade. Capital E is 200 gigapascal. Then length of the member is 500 mm and cross sectional area is 200 mm square. It is fixed at both the ends, and temperature change is given. Initially 20 degree centigrade temperature, it is increased to 50 degree centigrade, so temperature difference is 30 degree. So substitute appropriate values and find out what is temperature stress. So this is our equation alpha TE. Okay, so alpha is it is given 12 into 10 raised to minus 6. Then temperature change will be 50 minus 20, which is 30. And capital E, substitute the value in appropriate units, which is 200 gigapascal. If required, you convert this in Newton per meter square. If it is not required, need not change. Okay. So our answer is 72 megapascal. So please remember, capital E, its unit is given as gigapascal, and answer asked is in megapascal units. So substitute appropriate units here. Unit conversion is important. Okay. Next question. A steel strip is welded to a copper strip of the same dimension along the length. The coefficient of thermal expansion for copper is greater than that for steel. If temperature is increased, copper has tensile stress, steel has tensile stress, both have compressive stress, none of the above. So answer B will be correct. Steel has tensile stress. Just the previous question is repeated here. Instead of copper, what will be there in steel member, it is asked. So when copper has induced compressive stresses, exactly opposite, steel will induce tensile stresses. Next question, again one question on temperature stresses. Whenever numericals are asked, you must be ready with appropriate formula. So for formula for temperature stress is alpha TE. So again the inputs are given and answers are one of the options. So option D is correct, 96. So there is nothing different here, same as that of the previous question. Alpha TE will be the equation. Alpha is 12 into 10 raised to minus 6. T 60 minus 20 is 40, and capital E 200 gigapascal. Convert this in megapascal.